Hi, I'm Anne Bollin Johnston with Creative Wealth Advisory, and my unexpected hobby is electric guitar.
Welcome to Unexpected Hobbies of Financial Advisors, the podcast where we interview fellow financial advisors about their pursuits and pastimes beyond their professional persona, some of which may be surprising to their colleagues and clients. We're interested in what makes them tick and how their unexpected hobbies might or might not relate to their everyday lives. Here's our discussion with this week's guest. Welcome to the Unexpected Hobbies of Financial Advisors podcast. I'm Brian Wright with Fiduciary CFO, alongside my co-host and fellow financial advisor, Joshua Walker.
That's a bit much for somebody as humble as I am, the humblest of all. But it's good to be here today.
Well, we're glad you're here. And we're glad Anne's here because guitar, I sort of have a thing for this hobby. So
we're surrounded, Brian. There's on every side, there's guitars.
We are surrounded, and there's no better things to be surrounded by than guitars. So, Anne, thanks for coming on. We'd love to talk to you about this unexpected hobby of yours.
Thank you both so much for having me. I was delighted when you asked, especially when I found out that both of you are musicians.
We are guilty as charged.
Of a sort, yes. I only have 5 guitars, not nearly as many as Brian has here. How long have you been doing this, and how extensively has your collection grown?
You know, I started playing in 2019, and I have 3 guitars that are all the exacts. They're all green. And so the only real important thing to me about the guitar at the beginning was the color.
Which is usually very high on the list of your first guitar.
Yeah.
Like
totally. Yeah. I mean, I bought these, my first guitar is actually right here. I got this, we can get into the whole thing behind it, but the most important thing to me was this exact color.
And why is that? Why was that so high on the selection criteria?
Let's see. At the time in my life when I decided to start playing the guitar, I had no musical background, really, other than playing like the recorder in elementary school or whatever.
The devil's flute. Yes. The recorder. Yes.
That's fine. I just remember like 3 Blind Mice, Hot Cross Buns, same song. I was like, okay, cool. Got that. But I was working at a big firm, a big wealth management firm. I've been there for a long time. And I felt like the main focus was on the technical side of finance. And I was sitting in meetings where I felt like, clients were checking out because they were being presented with so much technical information. I wanted to find creative ways to engage people, but it was difficult to do in that environment. And so I had all this pent up creativity inside of me. And I was working long hours. I felt like I was playing just a big game of whack-a-mole. I needed to do something to help, with this exhaustion that I was feeling. And so being from Georgia, being around big trees always made me feel like coming home. And so in California, the big trees that came to mind for me were in the redwoods. So I got in the car feeling exhausted and just drove north to the redwoods. And I felt like lifted out of this sense of exhaustion that I was feeling and this sense of freedom that I hadn't felt in a long time. And so when I left, I made a promise to myself and I was like, okay, I need to do like one thing that's just for me, that's like just for my own enjoyment. And the craziest thing that I could think of was like a bright green electric guitar that felt like freedom to me, And so I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a guitar. And then that was my mission. I was like, I have to find it in that exact color. And the color was important because that shade of green reminds me of fresh growth in nature. Something that's like fresh that comes out of the ground. And it just made me feel like that sense of freshness that I longed for in my life.
And when you went hunting for this particular shade, did you go, was it local stores or was it eBay, Amazon,
thrift shops,
Fender.com? Where did you start your search?
Well, I didn't really know where to get a guitar at that point. I think I went online to Guitar Center, and this is, And I went on and I was just like green guitar. And I remember, before I bought the green guitar, I had like a moment of like, well, should I actually do this? And I called my best girlfriend and and I was like, hey, like, I want to get an electric guitar, but I feel like I should get like a brown acoustic guitar, And she was like, dude, you got to get the green one. And I was like, okay. And that was all I needed. And so then I went on, and the only one in the perfect shade was this like Mitchell, which I'm pretty sure is a Guitar Center store brand used electric guitar. And I still play it. I love this guitar. It's awesome. And so I got it, and it's been awesome. And it's something about picking it up and playing that color that just like really, do you feel that way? Do you have a guitar that makes you feel that way?
Yeah, my Les Paul's not down here, but I have a Gibson Les Paul, and that's a 94 40th anniversary Fender Strat there. And I would say like nothing looks or sounds better than a Les Paul. My back doesn't like it the next day after I've played it, but man, nothing plays better than a Fender Strat. So it's like kind of like, what do you want? But I feel great with the 700-pound guitar, the Les Paul, because it's awesome. So you've got this green guitar. You found the one that you wanted. They probably send you home with an amplifier too, I'm hoping. And then was it straight into hot cross buns? How did you start becoming musical?
Oh, yes. So I'm from Georgia, and my favorite song is Freebird by Leonard Skinner. Okay. So obviously, the first song I wanted to play was Freebird.
Starts easier than it ends.
So, I was like, this is going to be great, and it's like, and so I was talking to one of my good friends, Eric, who's also a financial advisor in Nashville. And I was like, hey, like, I like have this guitar. I really want to learn how to play the guitar. And he was like, I also have always wanted to play the guitar, but have not done it. But like, I'm like, I'm a full practice and like lots of stuff to do. And like, how do we find the time? Right. And so I was like, what if we played a game where like, let's trade videos of each other trying to learn how to play the song Freebird. So we were like, let's do it. And so we would like send these videos back and forth. And after a while, we were like, what if we invited more people to do this? And so, for me, like the guitar was kind of like a hobby that I picked up to try to overcome this sense of like, I guess perfectionism is the way that I would say it, like the rigorous standard that I put across all parts of my life. And so learning to play something and knowing we were not going to be great at it was essentially the game. We're like, okay, what if we invited all the people we know who have also always wanted to have a creative thing, but have never done it, to trade videos doing whatever creative thing they always wanted to do online. So we started this Facebook group called the Freebird Challenge in 2019. And I got on Facebook Live, which was like, to me at that time, the most horrifying thing I could possibly imagine, because it's like goes to everyone that you know. Like people from elementary school are popping. I'm like, oh my God. And I played Imagine horribly, on the green guitar. And I was like, who wants to be the Freebird Challenge? And it was like incredibly meaningful for several years. We traded videos, learning to do our own creative hobbies. And so that's how it's starting.
And did the pandemic serve to make that accelerate faster than it might have, since people were trying all sorts of new things during that time period?
We were all at home.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you talk about doing something, knowing that you're not going to be great at it, but time plus practice plus hard work leads to skill development. So I'm guessing we've seen your videos. You're not as terrible as you used to be, I'm guessing. So is the Freebird Challenge still going now that you're approaching competency?
Yeah, I hope it goes on forever. And I'm always inviting people into it. But now it's not as a Facebook group. It's just an invitation to anyone who wants to pick up a creative hobby. And if they want to throw a hashtag Freebird Challenge on it, it's just an open invitation to say, do you have a creative thing you always wanted to do, but you've never done? Do you want to play a game where you can put up a totally imperfect version of you playing it. Doing it just for yourself is enough. But there is something really cool that happens when you're able to do it and share with others in any stage, whether it's just for you or whether you want to share with others. I just think it's really, to me, it's been like a big part of reclaiming a sense of like vitality in my life that I really needed. Doing something just for its own sake. Because I think the first thing that happened when I picked up the guitar is like I applied the professional standard that I put to my professional life on the creative thing. It killed it.
A new avenue for perfectionism.
Totally. I was like, okay, I'm going to overcome my perfectionism with this thing. And then,
Perfectly.
and then immediately I was like, and this is my first goal. and then a milestone. And then I'm going to learn this. And by this date, I'll have these 3 songs. And then I would just immediately not want to do it. It would just, and so I just, the process of learning guitar for me has been like this really like difficult but important conversation with myself, and also listening to self-talk along the way, learning to play the guitar. That's probably been the most valuable mirror for me, because it's just like, I want to meet this goal, but da-da-da-da-da. And professionally, I want to make sure I put things out there at this quality standard. But over here, how do I learn how to appreciate every part of the creative process? How do I learn how to see every step of this as like perfect and beautiful, exactly how it is, and just a snapshot at that moment of the learning, you know? And it's like not always easy. And there's like it's not a light switch. It's not like, okay, and I'm like good now. It's like always happening. Do you guys know what I mean? Like,
Some, yeah. I'm thinking like and then maybe this is a wildly inappropriate question, but is imposter syndrome something that lives inside you? Because it seems like this could be a very effective antidote to, if you apply perfectionism in one area of your life, intentionally going out of your way to, I am putting this out there knowing that there's a standard that I'm not meeting. That was how I was hearing it, but maybe that's not how you meant it.
I don't know if I like, for some reason, I don't know, the way I look at it, imposter syndrome makes me think that, that like there's something I'm trying, I don't feel like I'm able to be or something. And so I guess I just relate to it as like, I've always dealt with things in my life with like a high level of rigor, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I want to be proud of the things I put out in the world. And the challenges I always had, at the time that I started playing guitar, I was feeling really tired, and I felt like and I was working relentlessly, and I felt that I didn't have time to be creative. And also that, I'm like, okay, this is something that I'm probably not going to be good at. And that was the limiting belief that got in the way. And so being able to do something and remove that needing to be good at something allowed me to access a sense of vitality that I wouldn't have been able to access if I had kept the exact same standard across all parts of my life. And so that taught me something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting kind of hearing you say that. For me, so I'm a lifelong musician. I started taking piano lessons when I was 6. I picked up guitar when I was in high school, kind of self-taught guitar. And as I mentioned before we started recording, I can't read really a lick of music. Any 6-year-old that's taking piano lessons can outread music, but I've got a great ear and I understand chords and and that's kind of how I play on piano. But it's weird because with music, first, it's always something that I wanted that was fun. It's fun for me. And like, I got to a point and now looking back, it's in a weird spot because it's like, I've got to a point where I'm embracing like good enough is good enough. Like I'm not much of a soloist at all from a guitar. So I hear like this, some soloist on their, just shredding, Slash or something, just shredding away on a solo. It's like, oh, that'd be so cool. That'd be so cool to be able to do. But like, for me to put in that extra work to hone those skills in my music. Like, I don't know, it's just like kind of where I am. I'm real comfortable where I am. And, so I constantly have that battle with myself as a musician. It's like, cause I'm no longer pushing myself from a music standpoint. I guess as I've grown up and, you know, be a business owner and doing the things, I guess I'm itching that scratch just with my business of pushing it and being better and trying to improve on those sorts of things. And I've really I use music as just like I'll go and play the power chords that I've always played, and I'll play to a click track, or I'll play to whatever. And just because it's more of an unwinding, it to me to even just like sit down, like, you know, I'm going to go learn the No Rains or the November Rain solo. It's like, nope, wow. I'm not going. Yeah. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna go play some Blink 182, like because I know that. So, you know, so that's interesting. So, and I think that's the beauty of being a musician is like, there's so many different ways that it can intersect in your personality and kind of how you use the hobby and where it supports you. People ask me all the time, and this is your interview, not mine, but like, if I always joke that like, they say, oh, you're still playing a band. So I played in a band in college, lead singer and all that. And it's like, no, I'm both too young to be in a band and too old to be in a band. So like, you know, cause we have kids and, you know, high school and like, but I'm like, you know, I'm just turned 46. So I'm like, tell people, like, I'm about 5 years away from in like my second act of like being in a band, because we'll be empty nesters. And you know, you go to a bar, the band's they're either in their 20s or in their 50s or older. So it's like, all right, I'm getting ready for that second phase. But music's great. It's a great way it can plug in literally to wherever you are in life and feed different purposes.
It totally. Like you made me think of something when you just said that. It's like, so after the Freebird challenge for a number of years, I got to a place where like learning guitar on YouTube by myself, I kind of like hit a place where I wanted to start, and I think it was after COVID. I wanted to play with people in real life, and I thought that would be really fun. But I also, my skill level was like still, you know,
new
or where it was. And so the School of Rock has an adult performance program.
Nice.
Where they like put together bands of adults that are working professionals. And so I like signed up for this, and I like go in, and there's these other guys. They're all like total, like, you know, full-time professionals. One's like a, you know, CFO of a hedge fund or something. The other guy, and I'm just like, and they're like, let's jam. And I'm like, love this. And so what I learned from, first of all, but that was cool because at that point, it kind of became both. It was like, let's play these songs that we love because we're all having fun, and the point of this is fun. But then it was different because playing in a band, I no longer, my like, you know, kind of being way off on the guitar solo. When I showed up to practice and I was not like prepared, infected other people. And so that was when like, it became a both thing. Yes, it still needs to be for its own sake and for fun, but it's like it also like brought, you know, a level of like really paying closer attention to what I was doing, because like I want to, you know, it's working with a team. You want to be a member of the team that is like moving everyone forward, that's ready. And so that was like totally a new experience for me, and it was really cool to be a part of.
Did you have any hint that you had latent musical ability? Some people grow up non-musical because they're simply not, there's nothing there. Other people discover later in life, oh, I'm wonderful. Were your parents musical? Because you could have picked something, you might have had no ear, your fingers might not have been able to do it. It could have been a non-starter of an idea, but it's worked for you.
I really, not really. I think that the reason that I chose it is because it seemed so outrageous to me. It seemed
very left field.
It seemed completely like I was looking for something that felt like that sense of wildness and freedom. And that was the most outrageous thing I could think of, because I had never really played an instrument.
And when you were first getting going, how did you find the time? You talked about being as busy as you were, and the job that was in many ways draining. There's limits to how many hours you can push your fingertips on those strings. So how did you make it work?
Totally. Well, I just, I was in this game of the Freebird challenge, and it was a game.
The social
and so
aspect.
It was like showing up for other people to play. And, these videos, and if you go on my Facebook page, you can go back and see from the very beginning me playing. I would post these on my Facebook wall. So it's like, you can go back.
Well,
check
now
it
that you
out.
said it, we surely will.
No, I'm just, so I would think of a song that I would want to learn because maybe there was something in my life, that I would want to like, I was thinking about, and it would be enjoyable for me to play, or there were songs from my childhood, love all the other songs I wanted to learn how to play that really meant something to me. And it was just, it was showing up for myself, showing up for the game. And so my challenge to myself was to see if I could learn a song on like YouTube or practice a song, and then just put a video of wherever I was practicing it that week in the group or online.
When you say wherever you were, like skill-wise, or like
wherever I was skill-wise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not like you're going out on the patio or.
No, totally. Like I tried to learn this, like the slide once, because I wanted to learn of Freebird, and I got like so, but it was just, but it was like, hello everyone, here's where we are today, and that's what kept me going. And so I don't think I wasn't spending a lot of time doing a lot of technical practice. I still aspire to learn more about the fretboard and the elements of playing guitar. Really, it's always, and I do work on it, but for me, it's always been about like what like would be like really joyful for me to focus on today, and I'll like play that and do that, and that's what kept me going forward.
How did you move on to the second and third guitar in the same color scheme?
Let me think about that. How did I?
Yeah, because your first was electric, right? The very first one is electric guitar.
They're all electric.
Oh, they're all electric. Okay.
They're all electric.
And you did get good advice from your friend, because having known you several minutes now, I do not see you with a brown acoustic guitar.
Well, it's like, there's something about being, I don't know. Yeah, there's something about, I think I grew up in the South. I felt like, sometimes there can be messages for women like, be modest, just kind of keep things buttoned up to a certain extent. And I wanted to, and the green electric was just, again, that sense of expression and freedom for me that I really needed. And that's why, acoustic is beautiful. But it didn't give me that essence of freedom that I was looking for. So that's why I chose the first green electric guitar. And then the second one, I'm trying to remember, I can't remember exactly why I got the second one at this very moment. But I want to say it was an issue when I was playing a show with the cover band. But anyway, the second one that I got is the exact same color. It's just an EBH, and it's got this really pretty red button on it. It's just a beautiful guitar, and like I appreciate about it is it's simple, it's green. It's like, that's what I appreciate about the Les Paul. It's like, I love that shape. It's so beautiful. I love those buttons, and if there's not a lot of stuff on it, I love the way that looks. And I feel the same way about the green guitar. It's all green. The only thing on it is the button. I just love it.
When we talked to Brooklyn about board games, I expected to be talking a lot about board games, but she talked a lot about the design and the color and what made it beautiful and fun to look at, as well as the whole visual aspect of playing the game or playing the instrument. So it's interesting.
Yeah. And how it makes me feel when I hold it,
What did your coworkers make of the Freebird challenge and, hey, Anne's trying this wildly new and different thing? Or did that not come to their attention somehow?
let's see, my coworkers, I think, when I was at the time, when I started the Freebird Challenge, I was still at the big firm.
The big firm, yeah.
And I don't remember really people commenting on it at all. But what was interesting is that I started it with another financial advisor. And what was cool is that actually a lot of the people in the group were finance people. We had a lot of financial advisors that joined the group, a lot of, some finance thought leaders, and we were all just playing and having a good time. And so I think it was really fun because it started this whole conversation among, we could call it people in finance, people who are in fields of rigor, where we're really, we are detail oriented, and it is valuable to have an outlet. And so it was really fun because not only did other people that in my field join it, but we started having these really fun conversations about the time when they played something or what they always wanted to play. And those are my favorite things to talk about. And fortunately in our work, we also get to talk to people about their dreams. And that's incredibly rewarding and soulful and beautiful.
At the very top, you mentioned how the way that we convey information to the clients can be very dry, and that you are wanting to express creativity. Have you been able to, you started the guitar thing being intentionally diversionary, but have you been able to meld the two together to use your creativity to communicate concepts and data?
I have started a new experiment. And so for 15 years, I've been in a creative writing community. And and every year I go on a writing retreat. I usually sit down, and I've written essays and short stories and other things. And I try to get clear on whatever it is I'm trying to convey. And around the same time, we were doing I go on this writing retreat, and we're also playing a show with our cover band that's coming up. And we're playing Enter Sandman. We're playing some songs that I really needed. I really needed to. I think we're playing November Rain. We're playing some songs I needed to practice, and so I brought my guitar with me to the writing retreat because I was I need to figure out how to play Enter Sandman, and I also need to write something. It was and so.
Two things on the list.
Down, which is so fun. They were so fun to play. So fun to play. So I'm sitting down to write an essay, on finance and how can be scary to engage with finance. And I started writing this essay, and I started feeling tired. And I was and I was it would be fun. It would be fun to see if I could write a little song about this. And so I kind of started giggling to myself. I was oh my gosh, what I could write a little song about a financial ostrich, how we're ostriches, and I'm laughing. And I just had a great time doing it, and I thought it was fun, and I thought it could be useful. I don't know I just played it to my class. And so
your class of the other people at the retreat who are not necessarily financial types at all.
No, they're all,
all types. Yeah.
Right. All types, but creative people who are all there writing their stories. And so I wrote one the first day, and then I was it would be cool. It's an 8-day writing retreat. And I was I'm going to see if I can write one song a day. And so I wrote one the first day, and then I did it the next day, and then I wrote a song every day. And that was the first time I'd ever written music. And then I was this is fun. And I called my guitar teacher, and I was telling her about it, and she was you should do a show. And I was no, oh my God, no. And so anyway, I did end up doing a show in August of that year, which is the first time I ever put a band together. It was a whole thing. It's always, everything has been something that seems outrageous to do. And then the next year I went back and I played the same game with myself this last year. And I said, okay, what if I could write a song a day? And I did the same thing. And so then I had more songs, and I was oh, this is fun. So yeah, so I got started on this little experiment to see how can we, yeah, how can we make this more engaging?
Yeah. All right. All right. Have there been lessons that you've been able to draw and apply from your pursuit of the learning of the music and the electric guitar that have been applicable to the day job work with the clients?
Totally. I mean, I think for a long time, I felt like the answer to dealing with the rigor of, I kind of looked at things like, okay, there's the rigor of work, and then there's carving out time over here in order to do a creative thing, and that's extra time.
Separate.
And separate. And how do I find it? There is no time, right? And sometimes,
Right.
like if I have free time, it's like free time. It's like, what do I even do with myself to chill out? You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like, where do I find it? It's like carving out. But I guess what I really didn't see at the beginning was that actually having this time like unlocks and infuses everything with more vitality and gives me more energy. And so that's what I noticed. And so sometimes, like when we're working with clients and we're talking to them about their goals, and sometimes our clients like are working hard, they're doing a lot, and they have goals they want to accomplish. And sometimes when I sense and we're talking about planning and goals, and there's that same sense of, heaviness, sometimes what we do is we look for that creative goal. We look for that goal that seems to be over here that has that sense of wildness in it, because sometimes focusing on that as well can fuse everything with that sense of vitality. So that's what I've done.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
I've noticed, just as being a musician, that there are times I found that if I'm like struggling over a decision, like a multi-day struggle over like a big decision I need to make or whatever, and I'm just not feeling right or whatever, or sometimes just if I'm just feeling not myself, usually if I think like, when's the last time I played? Like, when's the last time I went downstairs and just like played? And usually it's been a while. And just kind of, it's like, because it's such a creative pursuit and it activates that right part of your brain, just getting down here and just even just 20 minutes, just something to just focus on that's purely creative, almost like gets me in a better spot to make. It's like, is that like part of your battery? Like if you have like multi-cells in your battery, it's like that part of your battery is like drained and you have to like charge that piece up, and it just helps the rest of my mind and body and where I'm making decisions elsewhere just operate a little more efficiently.
Yeah.
You're no longer at the big firm. You've started your own place, right? So I'm guessing that would have gone very differently if you didn't have your creative outlets to help fuel that transition.
Totally. I mean, that time when I went to, when I drove north, that was the other insight that I had is, I wanted to infuse my life with this sense of freedom. And so part of that, of course, was the green guitar. And part of that was founding my boutique wealth advisory that, and I wanted to keep that sense of freedom at the center of what I was doing. And so they're all,
Bundled.
They're all, yeah, it's all one, really.
Yeah. Yeah. You've been doing this coming up on 5 years. Are there any special memories that you've already established that you're going to treasure for the rest of your days that you look back on, or are there too many to count?
So I recently did a TEDx talk, and the topic was how to make finance beautiful. And so when I was invited to do this, I had a short timeline to think about what I wanted to say. And I was thinking one way I could do this would be to bring the financial rock songs into it. And of course, this is like the first time I played. Like I played with the School of Rock band, now our cover band, in like open mics. Okay. And we like play, like sometimes we're great. Sometimes I just have to go back to a detail here that I feel like is important to mention. The name of our cover band is the 17-pound Goose. Okay. And the reason for that is because, it's like, it's kind of an idea of the Freebird idea. It's like, will we don't know. It's like the goose could fly, the goose could not fly. You know, it's like we don't know what's going to happen, but the fun part is trying. So we always play with that sense of just like being out there to have a good time. So fast forward to the TEDx stage, I'm in essentially like a stadium. And there's like a Britney Spears microphone on me, and there's like my orange amp and my green guitar, and they're like, okay,
Go.
walk out here.
Dazzle
Dance,
us.
monkey, dance.
And
Yeah.
guitar. And I felt like it was including, financial rock, then rock. Into that, my hope was to, convey that sense of playfulness, and that we can make finance more engaging using creative tools. And walking out on stage and playing for an audience that big with no band, just me, clean, praying I can remember the chords, like that was memorable.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you mentioned green guitar, orange amp, which I'm assuming you had to hunt that down as well. I can't help but notice that behind you, that's the same color palette that we're seeing on your wall.
It's true. I always use an orange amp. Can you guess why?
Fun, I'm guessing. Fun and whimsy, and it's beautiful.
Well, I can go to the history of orange amps. And
I really like the color of those amps. I think the color of orange, it's beautiful, and you know what it looks really beautiful with? The exact color green.
Green, yeah.
and so that's what I mean. It's like I generally play with that because I just like it. It just makes me happy.
Orange is not just the color; it is the brand name of the amp.
Yes,
the same
color.
way you have a Marshall amp or a Fender amp or a Mesa Boogie amp.
Ignorance
it is orange.
alleviated. Okay, thank you for clearing that up.
But it is
Sorry,
orange.
I was clueless on that.
That's
It
okay.
is orange, and it's also red. Yes.
Okay. So I am a musician, but I haven't purchased an instrument or an amp since 1997 because I found ones that I like and I work with it, and I've thought about getting more, but they're more expensive than they used to be. You can't get a proper bass for $100 for mowing lawns anymore. So I work with what I've got. But yeah, orange, apparently it is. Now I know.
They're fantastic amps. Very cool sound.
Yeah.
Very cool English, like Brit sound. Yeah.
Okay. Huh. All right. So you've done this with other people, lots of people. Has there been any potential crossover? Have you been able to introduce any music people into the boutique finance world? Are there finance people that you get to do music with, or does it remain separate as far as the people in your life go?
Well, let's see. I try to do my best to, include people in the different parts of my life. I would say, so our cover band, the 17-Pound Goose, we still play together. We're no longer, formally with the School of Rock program, but we do still get together every week and practice, and we still go out and play shows and open mics. And so that's a lot of fun. And so I've had, clients come to those shows. I think my first show, I had a client come and I was like, oh my God. I was like, she was so cool about it. And I was very grateful because I was like, oh my gosh, but just getting to, enjoy all parts of the process, learning process. And then with the financial rock songs, I played those at open mics, and I have played them now at financial conferences, and that has been really cool and wild at the same time. And in financial presentations, when I do financial presentations now, it's really fun to include a financial song. It just brings that element in. And then right now I have the songs that I wrote at the writing retreat. I'm putting out one song every few weeks with some reflection questions around financial topics. So I'm bringing the worlds together in that, bringing the community into all parts of the music, and then also hopefully creating a greater sense of playfulness and engagement with financial education as well.
Yeah. I can't help but notice when you talk with your hands that your nails are painted beautifully with vibrant colors. How did you not end up doing art? It just seems, I mean, I know you chose music because it's out there, but I keep on smashing the cymbal. But do you paint other than your nails?
Do I paint?
Not yet.
I don't paint. I have painted.
Okay.
It's not my number one thing. I do draw. Um, I have markers at my
That's
desk,
cool.
and I have a sketch pad. But normally
You couldn't just use a cup to hold your markers. It had to be a tetrahedron. It's
Well,
beautiful.
It's
It's
very
fine.
dark. It's very dark side of the moon. It's a prism and I love that. I love the colors there.
it was for succulents. You put a succulent in those, and then after, and then I was just like, oh, it's pretty because it holds them up, so I can grab them easily.
Not a green thumb then. Okay.
Well, no, I do spend a lot of time gardening and that's like also a big source of inspiration. But I would say, I think it was being in a very technical environment for a really long time. And, mostly I was, information was being conveyed in a certain way. We're all wearing, black, blue, and gray suits. And I felt that after I wanted to shift gears and create something that could have a different feeling, that sense of security and freedom at the core, I think that's when color came into my life, a little bit like the Wizard of Oz, I started thinking about color in a more intentional way. And so you probably wouldn't have seen these nails 15 years ago, but I think that I don't know. I think that creating environments to make things approachable and beautiful is fun. It's also an honor.
My wife is highly driven by color, and it's become established that, hey, look, pal, if you're going to show me a spreadsheet, it needs to not just be Excel green. There has to be multiple colors.
Totally.
And I've learned that, this can be an effective way to separate information. And now all our rebalancing charts are multicolored. And
They're pretty.
It's so important. The asset allocation, like each asset class having a color that represents like what's happening. Like, does it make sense to have certain asset classes be like dark red? Like some of them, it's like this growth, what are we doing here? It's like
Yeah. All right. Well, if somebody wanted to get into electric guitars, and it sounds like, is it just go down to the local guitar center and find a color that strikes you? Or what would you, having done it, how would you do it differently? Or what about your path would you recommend to somebody else?
I would invite them to think about, is there a creative thing you've always wanted to do, but you've never done? Or if you've said something like, I would totally do this, but I don't feel like I have the time to do it. Or like my fourth grade, art teacher or something said, you're not good at this, but I've always wanted to like singing or like art or painting or something. Is there something you've always wanted to do, or you're like, oh, when I have the time, someday I'll do that? Think about what is that thing? And is there like one step you could take to do a creative experiment just to see what that sense of freedom feels like for you? And with the Freebird challenge, I would always say, like, if you don't know what that is, see what it feels like to just holler Freebird.
Sure. Yeah.
Don't do it at a classical concert, though. It's frowned upon.
I know.
It sounds like there are many, many ways that you've put yourself out there. If somebody wanted to find you and your work with the music online, what would be the best place? The TEDx talk, the Facebook challenge, where would you direct them if they wanted to hear and see what you've done and where you're at now?
Totally. So I would say go to finrockrocks.com. That's where I am putting out all the financial rock songs, the FinRock songs that I've written so far, along with reflection questions, and also where I'm sharing news and ideas around this FinRock movement or ways we can make finance beautiful. All of us as financial professionals. Like, I think as I talk to it's so fun to see how different people are making finance beautiful. So I would say I would love to connect, and I would love to, and so I would love for you to tune in and be a part of this overall movement. So if you would go to finrockrocks.com, put in your email, that's the best way to do it.
Second to last question from me. One of the things I enjoy about these podcast series that we do is I get to ask questions about things that I'm totally ignorant of. And I'm the sort of person that prides myself in knowing things. And so it takes effort for me to put myself out there and say, I don't know a thing. Is 17 pounds big or not big for a goose? Because the Canada geese that we have around here look to be about 40. And
is that right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I keep my distance because they're nasty. But so 17-pound goose scale?
17-pound goose, my understanding is a 17-pound goose is a larger bird. And the reason
it's a hefty critter. Okay.
It's a hefty, yes. And the reason that I think that is because I was on a conference call with somebody who was preparing a dinner party. And he was telling us that he had made a 17-pound goose. And he was explaining to us how that was a really, sizeful bird to cook. And I just remember thinking, like, envisioning that in my mind, and also like smiling and just thinking, it's like the idea of being a Freebird and flying, but also at any level, just like taking off no matter where you are and having, will we fly? I don't know if 17-pound geese always fly. I don't know, but we took that as a metaphor and thought, could we just make a game out of seeing how can we infuse this sense of play into what we're doing.
At first, I wondered if it was a Dickens reference to the end of the Christmas Carol, go down and buy the goose in the window, deliver it to the Cratchit family, but apparently not. Okay.
I love that.
Maybe. Okay. And then the final question from me, where would people go to find out about your work that you're doing professionally and the way that you're expressing your creativity on behalf of clients?
Yes, I would still recommend going to finrockrocks.com for
Same
that.
place. Okay.
No, and people can of course look up Created and the work that we're doing. And I would say that my intention is to share all different ways of making finance beautiful through that medium. And so I think that would be the perfect place to start.
Okay.
With the work.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Do you take fan submissions there? Like, if I were to write a song about the importance of rebalance to the tune of Smells Like Teen Spirit, like, smells like rebalance or something, is that something I could do and submit to the FinRock Rock site?
You put it out there yourself.
Just put it out there
film yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do that.
I've also learned that it's a whole different conversation. But if you have to be thoughtful about using someone else's chords and changing the words, because that is like, that would be the first thing I would say.
You're not Weird Al, not yet.
Don't monetize, for one.
I would say ask the artist permission.
Yeah.
If you could do it, or write your own thing. That's what I would say. Yes.
I think Beethoven is in the public domain.
But yeah, I appreciate the CYA with the licensing and the copyright stuff. Yeah.
And I bring it up because that that was one of my initial instincts too. And obviously, it's artist integrity is really important, and there's lots to know about that. And in terms of like FinRock and growing it as a movement, like absolutely. And like I would love to stay connected in terms of FinRock Rock and expanding.
I have so many ideas.
What we can do.
So many ideas. My right brain is just lit up like a Christmas tree right now. So.
All right. Well, I'm afraid I have to shut you down because it's time.
Okay, it is time. We've hit the limit. So, and thanks so much for coming on. This is really interesting. I know I speak for myself, but Joshua and I will definitely check out FinRock Rocks and encourage everyone else to check it out as well. And we look forward to hearing more from you and your music in the very near future.
Thanks so much, Anne.
Beautiful. Pleasure. Thank you.
Unexpected Hobbies of Financial Advisors is brought to you by Fiduciary CFO, forward-thinking tax and planning solutions for business owners, like RIA firms and their business owner clientele. The opinions of Brian, Joshua, and their guests are for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as legal, tax, financial, or investment advice. You should know better than to take any of this content seriously. Thanks for being a fan of the show. If you were listening and thought to yourself, hey, I know somebody they need to have on the show, you can do something about that. Go to unexpectedhobbies.com/nominate and tell us who they are and what they do that's so interesting and unexpected. If we agree, we'll send them an invitation and we'll hope they say yes. Now it's unexpectedhobbies.com/nominate.